This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game.
Coming at you live in the heart of Lincoln, America.
I said, hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
On air and online at theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Jake Bakoven and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
Week 1 of college football will be underway tonight. Oh, what a beautiful day it is. One of my favorite days of the year. Kind of complicates things with week 0 now. I always look forward to this Thursday. Remember last year was Ohio State, Minnesota. Tonight you got Penn State and Purdue. You got the return of the backyard brawl with two former USC quarterbacks going at it with West Virginia and Pittsburgh. I can't wait. College football is awesome.
It's a good time to love football.
Are you going to watch tonight? Are you at least Penn State, Purdue? Or
I'm going to be at the volleyball game. I'm going to be watching Nebraska. Your number 2 Nebraska Cornhuskers take on Loyola Marymount.
They should not be number 2.
I mean, it makes sense.
Somewhat. So following that, because the number 2 team previously beat a top 5 team, whatever.
Yep, twice.
Up. So do you think that Ohio State, if they beat Notre Dame this weekend, should leapfrog Alabama?
What are they?
Football.
What are they?
They're number 2. Alabama's number 1.
They're number 2. Who's Alabama playing?
Alabama's got Texas. So
Alabama has Texas like week 3.
They
playing,
do? Okay.
Yeah, I think they're playing somebody not that good. Week 1. At least that's what I saw, which I was surprised because I thought Alabama and Texas was like opening for their season. Maybe it's week
you're
2
right. They have a Utah State.
Yeah,
Texas is next week.
Yeah, so
Utah State, that's not going to be enough.
No, it's not going to be enough. So
Ohio State should
jump them. Yeah. Those are the rules.
If it happens in Nebraska volleyball, it's got to happen in football.
Those are the rules. Well, I mean, Texas did have more first place votes than Nebraska did when the rankings first came out. They just had more. Nebraska just had more points or whatever.
Number 1.
Yeah, they were number 1, but it was like with the amount of like second place votes or whatever that they got. I don't remember exactly how it worked, but Texas had more first place votes. They beat Ohio State, who is number 8 currently, twice, swept them once, dropped the set the second game, and they just beat Texas just beat Minnesota in 4 sets, and Minnesota is also a top 25. They could be top 15 team. So Texas looking pretty good volleyball wise. They got a whole bunch of big name transfers to transfer in. They're looking to win it all. They're going all in.
Who's Nebraska got tonight?
Nebraska has Loyola Marymount, who is 1 and
Sister Jean?
2 on the system. No,
she won't be.
No, that's Loyola.
Oh yeah,
Chicago or whatever
it
is. No, Loyola Marymount 1 and 2 on the season. They lost to Kansas and Utah, who are both in the top 25, and they beat Utah State, I believe, in a tournament out in Utah. So they're coming in with, some experience with some top 25 teams. The last time Nebraska played Loyola Marymount was back in 2019 at the Devaney, and they lost to the Huskers 3-1. They won the first set 31-33, though.
Okay, wow.
So a bit of a shootout.
That would have been a fun one, yeah.
And then pushed the third set. Nebraska ended up winning 26-24. So if history serves correct or the same, it should be maybe another good game, another good match for the Lions and the Huskers.
Also in the news with talking kind of Ohio State there, CJ Stroud bought the entire Ohio State team a $500 gift card to Express to get some good suits. If you're in college, you get a $500 gift card. I suppose it's not cash. That's probably what I was going to say. I'd probably just go to Goodwill, pick out a suit, and keep the money.
I mean, it's an American Express gift card, so you could
still do that.
Still use it.
Oh.
Yeah, you swipe it. So
I thought it was Express the store.
But well, what did it say? Express gift card or an American Express gift card?
I think it's just an Express.
Express. Okay, then he has to get it there. Yeah. And if it was an American Express, it was just like a $500 like credit card or whatever.
Yeah, it depends.
But yeah, if it's Express, then yeah, you got to spend it there.
Did you ever get a nice suit at Goodwill?
I've no,
never had a suit.
No, I got a suit for my wedding. That is like the only suit that I own. I need more suits.
Yeah, well, you might as well just wear that one.
Yeah, I need more. Well, it doesn't fit anymore.
Oh well, there's.
I was small back then.
Yeah, I don't have too many suits either. There's not too many times in my life where I need a suit, and when I do wear the same one that I got. Why not?
I mean, if it works.
Yeah.
If I could fit into it, I would. It's a nice suit. It's a really nice suit. It's like gray.
You keeping it?
It's like a charcoal gray. I still have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe one day I'll fit back into it. Who knows?
I don't completely understand. My wife is keeping her wedding dress too. I don't understand that. Like, what are
keep it so
what are
that
we gonna do with it?
you keep it so that if you guys have a daughter and she wants to wear it, or you just keep it for the memories.
But what if we have?
Well, what are you
pictures.
gonna do with it?
I don't sell it.
Why would you sell it? Who's gonna buy a used wedding dress? I
I'm
don't
sure
know if
we'd
that's
find
true.
somebody to buy a used wedding dress.
I don't know about that.
I don't know.
402
But she was like, we need to get it. We
464
need to get it like dry clean and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
you gotta
we're
take
not
care of
even.
it.
We're not even gonna do anything with it.
You take
It's
care
just
of
gonna
it.
sit in the closet.
What if you decide to renew your vows?
Get a different wedding dress?
No, it's not the same, Bach. Come on.
I don't understand.
You're not a sentimental guy.
I think new stuff just works just the same.
Ellie's been telling us that she wants to wear Rachel's wedding dress when she gets married. Granted, she is 3, but
Yeah.
still.
It's a good start. You could
She's
try
like,
to
when I get
that
married, I
right.
want to wear mommy's dress. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's fine.
We don't have to buy you a new one.
I mean, I guess that could work that way. I think styles change over 20 years.
Sometimes, but sometimes it's just, sentimental, and it's just, you want to wear your mom's dress.
Yeah.
It's fine. Stop.
I'm not
wrong?
completely against it. I just don't it's hard for me to wrap my head around it. Like, we're going to keep this for 20 years just in case.
Whatever, man.
All right. Yeah, well, that doesn't matter. How about this? Twitter is adding an edit button, but you're going to have to pay $4.99 for it. It's called Twitter Blue. You'll have up to 30 minutes to edit your tweets. You think you're gonna pay Twitter some money?
No.
The edit button's not worth it to you?
No.
Good job by Twitter, by the way, for milking
Smart.
this for all it's worth. Yeah.
Smart. $4.99? No, I'm not paying. I'm not paying for Twitter. Twitter is a free site. I'm not. It's free and it's amazing.
And you can't edit, but if you
don't need
really
to
want
edit.
to, just delete your tweet and write the same thing.
Exactly,
next
like
time.
everyone else does.
Yeah.
You're not special Twitter Blue users.
Oh, they will be.
You losers.
If I have a very important tweet, which I don't think I've ever had, then maybe I would just buy it on the moment, because it's not like $5 is a big deal, but I'd wait till you need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Maybe 1 month you really need it.
No,
I don't know.
I would never use it. Tater asked, why wasn't Wisconsin #1, the defending national champions? They lost a 5-time All-American in the middle. And was she in middle or was she an outside? I'm pretty sure she was a middle. I could be wrong, though. They lost a 5-time All-American, the only 5-time All-American. Shout out COVID. Not really, but that's the only reason she got. That's the only reason she got 5 All-American awards, because she had that extra year. And they lost their setter, who was a 3-time All-American, maybe. And currently they're running a 6'2", right? I'm trying to remember volleyball terms. I'm still attempting to become an expert or more knowledgeable in volleyball. I believe it's called a 6'2". I could be wrong. My wife will correct me at some point if she's listening. They have 2 setters on the floor currently, because they couldn't decide between one setter or one setter wasn't standing out. So, I mean, they were number 3, I believe. So Nebraska, added some firepower with Caitlin Horde, and Texas added like 6 big name transfers. So those 2 vaulted up there. Louisville, who was also Final Four participant last year, was number 5 or number 4.
They were number 1 going into the tournament, weren't they?
They were.
Yeah.
But no, Wisconsin was the 1 seed. Louisville was another 1 seed, but I think Wisconsin was the overall 1 seed.
Okay.
But yeah, so that, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Wisconsin's still in the top 5, and they'll be fine. They have some talent there as well. They have an outside hitter. I don't remember her first name, but I believe her last name is Ojal, and she's the one from Poland, and she's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
So they'll be just fine. It's going to be really interesting in the Big Ten again to see who comes out on top.
Yeah, and that's going to be fun, because last year's season 2 was like Nebraska was kind of supposed to be an off season where you just had a lot of new players filling into different roles, and
you had a lot of freshmen starting.
Yeah,
and it started off a little shaky as John Cook was trying to find the rotation that he wanted to roll with,
benching Lexi's son and
but
such.
well, I mean, it worked out. And then you got into the conference season. You kind of found a rotation that worked for you, and you went on a roll. Couldn't beat Wisconsin, but finished in the top 2, 3 of the Big Ten last season. Made a run in the tournament all the way to the finals in a year where nobody really thought you were going to, as you were starting multiple freshmen. And you come back this year, all those freshmen have that experience, and you have some more talented freshmen coming in to go along with some super seniors and some juniors and some regular seniors that you have on there they're contributing to a high level. So it's going to be another interesting season for Nebraska.
And we're going to bounce around a little bit here. How about Nebraska basketball's biggest victory last year? Do you remember which one it was?
Biggest victory. I don't know. Was it like an out of conference early in the season
It
thing?
was
I mean, they
really,
didn't win
really
much.
early.
They didn't win much later.
It was
in
an
the season.
exhibition game against Colorado.
Oh,
and
does that
everybody
count?
got hyped up. Well, it does. It counted in our book. That was the most excited we ever got for Nebraska basketball throughout the season.
Counted in our hearts.
Nebraska, it was announced today, will return the favor and head out to play Colorado in Boulder, October 30th. Of course, last year it was in Lincoln on Halloween. So that was a very cool event. We all got pretty excited because Colorado was coming off a good year. So that's a nice little charity exhibition thing. They're going to kind of return the favor, and maybe we can all get excited if Nebraska beats Colorado.
Woohoo! Casey Tominaga for 25 points.
Yeah. Or we might have learned our lesson and not get too excited about the exhibition.
Nope.
wins.
Get excited. Just pour your hearts out.
Yeah, and speaking of Colorado too, let's head out to some Pac-12 news. Maybe we'll turn into some Big Ten news. Brett McMurphy reporting that Washington is now in talks with the Big Ten. They're the kind of latest to reach out to them. Of course, Oregon is right there in the mix. It's the same teams that we thought months ago,
Yep.
and then they kind of tabled the discussion.
They were like, "No, we're not."
So maybe you're kind of thinking, and Big Ten was always saying, well, we're going to wait for Notre Dame. The Notre Dame thing feels closer to that. They're going to stay independent, but nothing's really official yet. We'll see what they do. Big 12's in negotiating talks with a TV deal, which could allow Texas and Oklahoma to get out as soon as next year. So this conference realignment thing keeps rolling. There's nothing huge on the news cycle today, but it brings up the fact that Washington could be in the Big Ten. Would you like to see the Huskies and Nebraska play in the Big Ten? I always liked their out-of-conference battles that they've had.
I do like Washington. I think they would be a pretty good fit in the Big Ten. That would also be a fun trip for a lot of media members. You had to head up to where they're not in Seattle. That's Gonzaga.
They're right by Seattle, I think. Let me double check.
I don't know.
They've got that beautiful
as Sipple said earlier on early break, there's a nice lake right next to it. I mean, there's also the ocean, but he was more concerned about the lake for some reason. No, Washington would be good. Oregon would be good. I want Utah in the Big Ten.
Do you really?
I do. I really want Utah in the Big Ten. They fit perfectly. I love Kyle Whittingham. He's a fantastic coach, and I just like watching Utah football. And also that would be a really fun trip to make.
What? Utah would be a really fun trip?
Yeah, have you seen their stadium? It's gorgeous. It's fantastic.
You're the only one I've heard.
Oh, no, see, I was right.
Really
Thank you. Thank you, Mississippi Mud Dog. Gonzaga's in Spokane. Spokane?
Spokane?
I think it's Spokane. Washington is in Seattle. Okay, I was right.
Seattle, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Mississippi Mud Dog, for correcting me. I always get those two mixed up for some reason. I don't know why. I can never decide which one's in Spokane and which one's in Seattle.
That's fair enough. Gonzaga's credit to Gonzaga for becoming that relevant that you confuse them with Washington. That's probably fair.
Shout out to Gonzaga.
But I've said all along, I think that to be competitive on the field, the Big Ten would be wise to go south. They've gone coast to coast.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need some Southern teams because the Southern teams have been winning championships on the field, whether it's the SEC, some of those teams in the ACC, the Florida States, the Clemsons.
But how are you going to compete with the SEC and getting if the SEC also wants them? Like if the Big Ten goes down to Miami or Florida State or Clemson is like, hey, we want you to join, and the SEC, hears about this, and the SEC is like, no way, and they want Clemson or Florida State or Miami. I got a feeling that they would much rather join the SEC than the Big Ten.
I do too, but I mean that's what makes it difficult, obviously. But that's what I would try to put some sort of package together. There's also kind of the other teams, the Georgia Techs and the Atlanta era, maybe a Baylor from get a Texas team in. You might not get the pick of the litter from
Texas
the South,
Tech.
but I still think that maybe you could do the best you could to maybe get into that footprint. At the same time, UCLA and USC are just going to feel awkward out there on an island if they don't have any, coastal teams.
You got to give them some friends.
Teams. Yeah, they need some friends.
Give them some friends out there. You can't just leave them out there by themselves.
And Nebraska, just in our minds, will be more West Coast now than because they'll be putting those in those pods. Or
no longer the San Diego of the Big Ten, though. Very
they
sad.
Are not. No.
Very very sad that way. Does the Big Ten? Here's a question for you. And a question for everybody on the Honda Lane Hotline, Starter Heyman text, how you join in 402-464-5685. And the Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Do you think the Big Ten should go after Oklahoma State? And then possibly, you could have that kind of, SEC Big Ten matchup, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma Bedlam rivalry every single year.
I'm not sure if the future of the Bedlam rivalry would stick if they do, or when Oklahoma moves. That's going to be very interesting and very sad if it doesn't, to be quite honest. That's not a bad pick either. That's the thing though, is there's a lot of ways you can go with it, and there's no home runs outside of Notre Dame. Like all the big time schools. I mean, outside of some of those ACC teams we mentioned,
Clemson.
If you're going to break up the ACC, I think Miami and Florida State would be a pretty big deal. But nothing bigger than Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's kind of just holding pat because there's no really reason for them. Especially other news in today, it's basically an inevitability at this point that the college football playoff will expand.
Yeah,
Notre Dame's having no problem as an independent getting to the college football playoff at 4. If it expands, I see that even less of a reason for Notre Dame to leave, unless it's just money and. They've got a certain number that they want as far as if they're going to stay independent, get that NBC contract or whatever it is, and it feels like that's within reach. That's why I think Notre Dame, you're going to need to force them, give them a real reason to join a conference before they do.
Notre Dame will be the final domino to fall. They have absolutely no reason to join a conference outside of more money, and right now NBC's kind of giving them whatever they want. So, because it's the flagship station of Notre Dame, and they're bringing in tons of money for each other. So once it all comes down to it, once teams and the dust is finally settled on conference realignment, you'll more than likely have Notre Dame sitting out on an island by themselves and then deciding which conference looks better for them to join. Because if things keep going the way they are and the NCAA falls apart and has absolutely nothing to do with college football anymore, it might be imperative that Notre Dame join a conference so that they are included in, more talks and more games within the SEC Big Ten Super Football Conference, because it's going to be those two.
Right. And that's what you wonder too, is maybe they'll go to conference only because the conferences are so big that then Notre Dame would be forced into it. But I still think we're years down the line, and maybe one more TV contract down the line before Notre Dame gets back. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, let's talk about Urban Meyer.
No.
Maybe we'll just talk about Penn State, Purdue.
We'll figure something out to talk about. I don't know. Do we? You know what? No, let's talk about Urban Meyer.
Let's talk about Urban Meyer. We'll do that next here on the Ticket Water Cooler, 93.7 The Ticket.
The fall sports season is here, and Brown Shoe Fit is celebrating that with a sale on athletic shoes. From now through the end of August, get $10 off any regular priced athletic shoe up to $105, and get $15 off shoes regularly priced at over $105. These are shoe brands including New Balance, Brooks, Hoka, and On. Gear up for the busy fall season today with the athletic shoe sale at Brown Shoe Fit, located at 66th and Q. Your high school football coverage rolls on right here on 93.7 The Ticket. Hey guys, it's Nick Sainert, and join me for 2 games this week. On Thursday at 7 p.m., it's the Lincoln North Star Gators going up against the Lincoln Northeast Rockets, only to lead up to our Friday night matchup at 7 p.m. between Lincoln Southeast and Lincoln East, as both the Knights and Spartans try to avenge Week 1 losses. Both those games are coming your way this Thursday and Friday right here on 93.7 The Ticket, your home for high school football all season long.
Keep your tailgate cool with the dazzling hot deal from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. Get a free Yeti cooler with your purchase of only $1,500 or more. Take advantage of interest-free financing with no money down. Sartor Heyman has gorgeous jewelry in every price range, so buy her the diamonds she's been dreaming of and get instantly rewarded with a Yeti cooler for free. Offer ends soon, so hurry in and snatch up this cool jewelry deal. Sartor Heyman Jewelers, a Nebraska tradition since 1905.
What do you want?
Hi, Mr. Carpenter. I'm Luke from down the street.
Oh, yeah. You shoveled my driveway last New Year's Eve.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Although you missed a few spots.
Well, the reason I'm here is to give you this Nebraska Lottery Powerball with PowerPlay ticket and voucher.
You bought this for me? Why?
Well, I noticed you spent last New Year's Eve all alone. That's no fun. So through September 12th, you can buy a Powerball with PowerPlay ticket and enter the voucher number in the Nebraska Lottery's Powerball First Millionaire of the Year promotion, and maybe win a trip to New York City for New Year's Eve. Plus, you'll also get a chance at $1 million to become the Powerball First Millionaire of 2023.
Well, that's really very nice of you. You're a fine young man. You be careful walking home.
Yes, sir.
But stay off my lawn.
Through September 12th, buy a Powerball with PowerPlay ticket and enter the voucher number for a chance to win. Powerball top prize odds 1 in 292 million.
Chances are you've tried fruitcake before. Chances are it looked pretty weird. Lots of colors that don't really exist in nature. Chances are it tasted weird. Chances are you need to try fruitcake again. Grandma's fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. None of that weird stuff you didn't like, just real fruit, premium nuts, and the delicious flavor combination of brandy, bourbon, and rum to meld all that together. See for yourself. Grandma's fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum. Get an immediate look back at the game from the people who know it best. It's the Tanner's post-game show and the final word live from Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Hear from former players and national champions like Jay Foreman, Rashawn Jackson, and Aaron Davis and see what they saw in that day's game. It's the Tanner's post-game show and the final word. Live and in person, home or away at Tanner's Bar and Grill. Brought to you by Bauer Infrastructure. Only here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Mark your calendars for the St. Wenceslas Brewfest on Saturday, September 10th in Milligan. Savor a delicious selection of Czech beer and cuisine while listening to live bands. And there's kids' activities too. It's the St. Wenceslas Brewfest on September 10th in Milligan.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank, a relationship you can count on.
A few scattered showers and thunderstorms in the area this morning, then becoming mostly sunny and hot again with a high of around 93. South winds at 10 to 20. Mainly clear tonight with a low of 65. We'll be back up to a high of 95 tomorrow with a chance of late afternoon and evening thunderstorms. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
People first is more than a nice sentiment. At American Senior Benefits, it's the mission. If you're ready for a career where you can truly put your customers' needs ahead of everything else, this is for you. American Senior Benefits is one of the leading senior market insurance product distributors in the country, and they're looking for high-energy applicants with strong communication skills. Enjoy on-the-job training, a fun work environment, and unlimited income potential. Visit asbmidwest.com to learn more. American Senior Benefits.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Back to the Ticket Water Cooler, brought to you by Wingstop on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back here on the Ticket Water Cooler, and we are ready to talk some Husker football hypotheticals with you. Of course, the big news yesterday kind of really took off after the midday, so I didn't really get to talk about it too much. But Dan Patrick reporting that I don't exactly know how exactly he put it, but that there might be some interest between Nebraska or Arizona State and Urban Meyer.
Dan Patrick, what are you doing? Yeah, that's unnecessary.
Stirring it up.
You don't need any more any pot stirring, any more views to your show. Like, you get enough views on your show and enough listeners and enough, new people coming in to listen and watch without, causing drama.
His source,
throwing Urban Meyer. His sources are dumb.
You don't think his source is real?
He has a million sources. I don't know. His sources are probably real, but at the same time, his sources were telling him that the Big Ten was gonna, play spring football, and that didn't end up happening. And then his sources were saying, "Oh, as soon as next week, the football is gonna come back," and it took like a month. So no. He has good sources for some things, but even if this is real, like, it's unnecessary. You don't have to. You
gotta be the first one to do it.
You don't always have to be the first. I know how this new whole news cycle works, and everybody wants to be first, but it's unnecessary. Just saying, like Nebraska and Arizona State currently have head coaches. That's unnecessary.
They're on the hottest of seats.
But that's unnecessary. They currently have head coaches. There is nobody. The openings are not there currently.
Not yet.
So just saying this is unnecessary and you know what, frankly, irresponsible by Mr. Dan Patrick.
My goodness, there's a lesson in journalism from Rico to Dan.
Figure it out, Dan Patrick School of Journalism. What are you doing?
That's right. You can go to his own school of journalism, right?
I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Well, in any case, it very much caused a ruckus on Twitter, on message boards, on everything for the Husker fan base. Basically, I mean, I don't know how you would even break it up. A quarter of the people saying what you're saying, which is Scott Frost still has his job. This is disrespectful. Another group of people saying, I can't do math, so I don't want to break this. I only have three, so I guess it's a third. So, and another group of people saying, well, I would stop watching Husker football. I wouldn't buy stuff if Urban Meyer becomes the coach. And then another group of people saying, are you guys out of your mind? This is a 3-time national champion. He's guaranteed to bring you back. And then another group of people that say, well, I think his building program days are past him. And then you get in the argument about how much of someone that does, if this does happen eventually, would have to be taking on to build this program back. So honestly, I like somebody already points this out, is that this you still have your coach, and we already have the sweater vest, right? When Bo Pelini was let go, the sweater vest, Jim Trussell was the name, and everybody was excited and thought this is what's going to take Nebraska football back, and we all got our hopes up. And then Mike Riley got hired, and we were all massively disappointed.
Just broken.
And so no matter basically what happens here on out, a portion of the fan base will be very sad if Urban Meyer is not the next Nebraska football coach, if that needs to happen.
All right, so multiple things for me to tackle here. First off, anybody that says that you would not support Nebraska football if Urban Meyer was the head coach, it'll take 2 games and you'll be back.
Yeah.
Anybody who says
I don't know how many of those people are in the crowd that also says, I don't care about the sellers, I don't care about this, just win, baby.
Yeah,
well, that's Urban Meyer.
That's just winning.
That's Urban. Yeah.
His program building days are behind him. Not sure about that one. Don't think that's true. I think he's still a fantastic coach and will be able to build a program. I just think the NFL and the controversy that surrounded him there just was not the right fit for him. I don't think he's an NFL coach. I never thought he was an NFL coach. So there is that. What else was there? Oh, again, Dan Patrick, what are you doing? Why are you saying this? Somebody points out, and I DP sent me a clip. Urban Meyer was backing Scott Frost's onside kick decision on one of his podcasts, or a podcast that he was on earlier today or late yesterday. So, Urban Meyer,
said the defense needs to step
your
up.
defense needs to bail you out when something like that happens. But at the same time,
something like that happens when your coach makes a bad coaching decision.
Well, he said something. He said something along the lines of, if it gives you a chance to win, like even if it gives you a small chance to win, like you should probably, if you do it, like it's not a bad decision or something along those lines. I was listening, but I wasn't listening that closely, unfortunately. I'll listen to it again in the break. But like, Scott Frost is your head coach. You don't need to start throwing Urban Meyer is going to be the next head coach when you have yet to let go of your coach. If you let go of your coach, who's to say that they don't turn it around? Would the Urban Meyer people be upset if Nebraska started winning? Like, is that the point that we're to right now? Are people wishing for the downfall of this Nebraska program and Scott Frost just so that they can get Urban Meyer in the building? Because if that's what it is, then that's sad. If that's truly what if you are an Urban Meyer to Nebraska person and you are wishing for the downfall of Nebraska football just so you can get Urban Meyer in the door, that is sad, and I don't believe that. I don't believe that should be happening.
I've been saying this for years, and so I'm not going to change my tune now, even though the Jacksonville thing really doesn't help my argument all along. But like Urban Meyer, I don't know if you guys realize this, he's a top 10 coach of all time, and if he wins another championship. And I don't want to say this, but you guys are going to get mad.
Don't.
That's 4 championships.
Don't.
That might be top 5 all time, which might move somebody out of that conversation. I'm not going to say who. I'm just saying Urban Meyer, and he's done it over and over again. So, like, if you hired Urban Meyer, he's immediately the best coach in the Big Ten.
Is he?
Oh yeah. He's he's
the best coach.
Okay, the best seriously coach. Is a top 10 coach of all time.
Oh yeah, he is.
He owns Jim Harbaugh. So you don't have to worry about that.
He created Ryan Day.
Day.
He would be the best coach in the Big Ten.
He would be a top 3 coach.
But that
he might be the second best coach besides Saban in college football.
But that would not immediately launch Nebraska to the top of the Big Ten.
It wouldn't, but keep in mind he took over a 6-6 program at Ohio State. I know it was not a season at Ohio State. Overall, they were better, and they were 12-0 the next year.
Okay, but
that sounds like Scott Frost, doesn't it?
No, Scott Frost took over 0-12, went 6-7, then went whatever and 0. But that is Ohio State. That is an Ohio State team that went 6-6 with entire starting lineups on the offense and defense filled with 5 stars. I'm not saying that Nebraska doesn't have talent. I'm saying Nebraska doesn't have Ohio State level talent. Even at a 6-6,
right,
everybody knew that should not happen ever at Ohio State.
And that was Luke Fickell, by the way.
That was, who is now pretty good,
doing
Cincinnati.
pretty well for himself.
So I understand he created, he went from wherever he started to Utah, built a great program there, handed it off to
Bowling Green before that.
Yeah, Bowling Green. Yeah, sorry,
Green.
I forgot Bowling Green. My bad. Went to Utah, built up a great program, handed the keys off to Kyle Whittingham, who has continued a fantastic program. Went to Florida. We all know how that went. And then took a break. And then Ohio State, which, again, Ohio State was a machine before he was there, and he turned into just an even bigger machine. And then, another break, and then Jacksonville kind of debacle. And now he's on his other break. So, I mean, maybe he gets back into coaching. He said he wasn't going to get back into coaching, but he said that multiple other times.
Yeah,
so
coaches say that sort of thing.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But him coming to Nebraska would be a phenomenal get, but Nebraska currently has a head coach, so we're not talking Urban Meyer. We're not talking Urban Meyer to Nebraska.
Well, but I mean, you do see, I'm not far from the writings on the wall. There's a lot of time left in the season, but you have to be realistic too. I mean, we're not inside the locker room. We don't have to focus all our attention like a lot of people want to on North Dakota, and certainly like there's a portion of that, right? But at the same time, you have to just accept that Scott Frost is on the hottest seat possible.
He is.
So there is a very realistic opportunity, unless things completely turn around from 4 years in one game. Unless that happens,
it could.
There's a very realistic possibility that there might be a coaching search upon us.
Crazier things have happened.
Not historically.
UTSA went undefeated last year.
Like, that's what I mean when I say this. Like, historically, there's never been anything like Scott Frost starting the way he has and turning it around to a winning program.
Look, history is made every day.
That's right. That's why you can't predict college football.
You never know what'll happen. It could happen. It could not happen. But until it does not happen, Scott Frost is a head coach. And if you want to talk about Urban Meyer being the head coach, I mean, you can talk about your possibilities. But for now, I'm sticking with who you have right now.
Well, and the other thing, too, is that Urban Meyer if Urban Meyer is seriously interested in coming back to coaching, whether or not the job's open at Nebraska, I believe that he'd have maybe better fits as far as opportunities as well. So I don't know if Nebraska's going to be the top job open in the market this offseason.
What do you mean better fits? He's been in the Midwest twice. He's won
the Big Ten.
He's been in Utah.
Yeah.
He's only been in Florida twice, and one of those was a complete disaster.
I guess what I'm saying is he could go somewhere where it'd be, and he's not going to have trouble recruiting regardless, but where it would be easier for him. He's getting older. That's where you get to the conversation about how far Nebraska is away, regardless of whether Frost comes back next year or whoever the coach is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as shiny of a job as it used to be. When we talk about maybe Dave Aranda is an interesting example, is that at a time in the late 90s, early 2000s, if you would have compared the Nebraska Baylor job, you would have been laughed out of the room if you would have said anything about Baylor even having a chance. Now, the only thing that Nebraska has the advantage of Baylor is the Big Ten money. That's your only chance of getting Dave Aranda. It's not because Nebraska's Nebraska. Like, Baylor's,
I still think
more fertile recruiting ground.
It is,
been
but
winning more the last 20 years. They've already got the program up and running.
I still think however much whatever. I don't even know where I'm going with this thought, but I still think the history of Nebraska matters, even if it was way back in the 90s, even if it was 20 plus years ago. Like, it still matters, and it's still something that Nebraska still has, that shine to it that Baylor does not have. And like you said, it has the Big Ten money. It has the Nebraska money. It has the rabid fan base, whether good or bad. It's been a lot of bad lately. And I'm not taking shots at the fans, so don't even try that. I know what you guys are going to try and do. I'm not doing that. It's just been, you guys have seen it too. It's been a lot of bad on the internet lately.
You're talking about the fans? What do you expect them to sit through this and just?
Well, no, I'm not expecting that. I'm just expecting, you can criticize. AD talked about it earlier. You can criticize, and constructive criticism is great, but at the same time, like, there's been a lot of bad. I mean, it's everywhere, and I know everybody's going to say that it's everywhere. Every fan base has. I'm not talking about every fan base. I'm talking about the Twitter sphere lately and all of the arguing and bickering back and forth between everybody and the negative comments directed towards players and players' parents.
Well, any of that is absolutely, obviously, very small part of.
I know, and the fan base,
people in every fan base.
I know, but I'm talking about Nebraska right now, but the fan base is the major draw for Nebraska for players to come to Nebraska. And for
but the idea that this fan base is anything other than absolutely incredible and one of the best in the nation is absolutely silly. Is there a split? Is there a division now?
A massive one.
Because your native son is 15-30, so it like naturally there's going to be arguments. There's going to be disagreements. That does not take away from this being the Sea of Red being one of the best fan bases. I've seen that too on Twitter where it's like, I'm ashamed of this fan base. Don't be ashamed of this fan base.
I'm not ashamed of the fan base. I'm ashamed of the people within the fan base who are a very large, very loud loud minority that have been taking shots at players and players' parents for some strange reason, who are just coming to the defense of their children.
Well, anybody doing that's a joke-hole.
It's terrible, but the fan base, the money, the history that Nebraska has still holds some type of merit in bringing in any coach, regardless of what's gone on the past however many years you want to go back.
You know what will really make the Nebraska job a little bit more appealing, I suppose, is that there's no longer this feeling of a 9-win birthright. It's in Nebraska's fan base. It's like, okay, we can stumble, we can we can fall, and it's no fault of Nebraska's fan base for thinking that wasn't the case for the better part of 60 years or whatever it was.
Yeah.
You won 9 games or more, but certainly as we've seen in the past 5 or 6 years. Trying to find a nice way to say it. It's far from the truth. So I still don't think that there would be a huge rebuild at Nebraska regardless. No. This is a young roster. There'd probably be a lot of movement on any roster with coaching guys, coaching decisions these days with the transfer portal and stuff. So you've got a little bit of that, but then on the other end of that is if you do a good job in the transfer portal, you can build quicker. So it's just, I think it's interesting to kind of evaluate where Nebraska's job is if it does come open. But there's, again, a certain part of the fan base that just, hold on, Scott Frost, the coach, you're being disrespectful. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm being realistic. That might be something that you might have to focus on.
It could be. It could be. What I was just trying to get to it is Nebraska's a better job than Baylor. I don't care what you say.
I think because of the Big Ten money, Nebraska's a better job.
Still
than
makes it a better job.
Other than that, I'm not sure.
It's easier to recruit to Nebraska. You've seen Baylor's academic standards?
Baylor, by the way, would be a really bad place for Urban Meyer to go.
The only way he goes
might
to
be
Texas,
a fit, but
and people keep saying, "Oh, Urban Meyer to Texas." The only reason, or the only way he goes to Texas and they fire Sarkisian is if Urban Meyer straight up comes out and says, "I want to coach at Texas."
Right, but that's my point.
Because if you're Texas and you fire Sarkisian with the thought that you're going to get Urban Meyer, and then he goes somewhere else, or just decides, I don't want to coach still for another year, good luck.
But the amount of respect I have for Urban Meyer as a coach, granted, knowing all the bad parts that come along with it, right? He's not going to stay long. He's not. You're going to leave your program in the best standard, whatever it is. There's about maybe 3 or 4 coaches that I wouldn't fire to bring in Urban Meyer. If you knew Urban Meyer was a lock, there's Nick Saban, there's Dabo Swinney, Kirby Smart, I suppose.
He's on his way up.
I don't know if there's a whole lot of other names that I wouldn't fire somebody for Urban Meyer. So it's really nothing against Scott Frost, you guys. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we will look at tonight's matchups, Purdue and Penn State, and Jerry Kill taking on PJ Fleck. They don't like each other. So That'll be fun. We'll talk about that coming up next year, as well as the Backyard Brawl coming up next year on the Ticket Water Cooler on 93.7 The Ticket.
What do you want?
Hi, Mr. Carpenter. I'm Luke from down the street.
Oh, yeah. You shoveled my driveway last New Year's Eve.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Although you missed a few spots.
Well, the reason I'm here is to give you this Nebraska Lottery Powerball with Powerplay ticket and voucher.
You bought this for me? Why?
Well, I noticed you spent last New Year's Eve all alone. That's no fun. So through September 12th, you can buy a Powerball with Powerplay ticket and enter the voucher number in the Nebraska Lottery's Powerball First Millionaire of the Year promotion, and maybe win a trip to New York City for New Year's Eve. Plus, you'll also get a chance at $1 million to become the Powerball First Millionaire of 2023.
Well, that's really very nice of you. You're a fine young man. You be careful walking home.
Yes, sir.
But stay off my lawn.
Through September 12th, buy a Powerball with Powerplay ticket and enter the voucher number for a chance to win. Powerball top prize odds 1 in 292 million.
Hey, this is Ernest Hausman. As a linebacker from Nebraska, I know how important it is to have a strong defense and a great playbook. If you are looking for a solid team to have your back, check out my friends at Burke Brown Law. Burke and Jackson will work with you to create an individualized strategy to bolster your defense.
Hi, this is Burke. Give us a call at 402-606-1441. With locations in Lincoln and Columbus, we're ready to tackle your needs. Find us online at burkebrownlaw.com.
Chances are you've tried fruitcake before. Chances are it looked pretty weird. Lots of colors that don't really exist in nature. Chances are it tasted weird. Chances are you need to try fruitcake again. Grandma's fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. None of that weird stuff you didn't like, just real fruit, premium nuts, and the delicious flavor combination of brandy, bourbon, and rum to meld all that together. See for yourself. Grandma's fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Mark your calendars for the St. Wenceslas Brewfest on Saturday, September 10th in Milligan. Savor a delicious selection of Czech beer and cuisine while listening to live bands. And there's kids' activities too. It's the St. Wenceslas Brewfest on September 10th in Milligan.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order your Wingstop online at 28th and Superior, 50th and O Street, and 29th and Pine Lake. Herrick Services takes this time to wish everyone a happy and healthy Labor Day weekend. We are thankful for all the hard workers in this country that make it great and celebrate with them all with well-deserved time off this weekend. This important message comes to you from Bart, Mike, and the folks at Herrick Services, your vending specialist here in Lincoln. Their quality service and expertise has earned them a fine reputation. That's Herrick Services on the air because they care.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Back to the Ticket Water Cooler. Brought to you by Wingstop on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
So there was this meme going around after the Husker football loss to Northwestern, made up about Pat Fitzgerald saying something about culture, and it tricked a few people. Pat did tweet out some shade here.
Yeah,
Pat did get to it. Now they do have a bye week this week. All right?
They might still be in Ireland. No, they probably can't.
They're probably just partying in Ireland right now.
Why wouldn't they be?
But Pat, 15.
They fly back on the weekend. They just stay until Thursday. They're probably flying out tomorrow. What do you know, Nick? Are they still there? How do you know? What? I can't hear you. There's glass.
They are not in Ireland.
How do you know?
They had a dinner on Saturday night, because if you listen to Pat Fitzgerald's press conference the week leading up to Ireland, I did. Yeah. So they had a dinner with 600 people on Saturday night after the Nebraska game. Sunday, they were doing sightseeing, and then they were flying back Sunday night on an overnight.
Well, that was if they didn't win.
They expected not to win that game, yeah.
But they won.
They won.
So they spent the entire week in Ireland drinking.
Either way, they finished the game with 19 straight runs.
Yeah, that's what Pat Fitzgerald said. He tweeted out, finished the game with 19 straight runs and still piled up 528 yards of offense. I just feel like,
okay, Pat, chill.
You just didn't need to add the still. You could have just finished up with 528 yards of offense.
Okay, Pat, chill. All right, don't you didn't have to say that. All right, don't be rude.
Yeah, come on, Pat. I think he's trying to hype up his program, but we take offense to it.
Yeah, I definitely do. Until they win the Big Ten West, I'm like, hey, it wasn't a bad loss, was it?
Let's get into what to watch this weekend. I've got a few different games. We'll go down. We're not going to necessarily make your picks, or you can if you want to. I'm sure you'll wait till tomorrow, Rico.
Yeah.
But in any case, there's a few.
Well, we can make picks for today's.
There's
games.
A few of them you got to pick tonight. How about the Backyard Brawl? The return of it. They played every year from 1943 to 2011. Pittsburgh and West Virginia. That is. This is their first matchup since then. Pittsburgh is favored by 7.5. Of course, they have former Nebraska target, you could even say, Keaton Slovis at their quarterback position. West Virginia has former USC quarterback as well, J.T. Daniels, who was most recently in Georgia, winning a national championship as the backup. But Pittsburgh favored by 7.5. Interesting. I hope for a brawl. It says Backyard Brawl. I want to see a brawl.
Give me JT in West Virginia.
Oh, there you go. Country roads?
Yep. Take me home.
There we go. As far as the Big Ten tonight, Penn State and Purdue at Purdue. This is in Ross-Ade Stadium. And Penn State, for what it's worth, I think I have the stat. The Big Ten never does them any favors. They always have them opening on the road. It
was like 5 straight years.
Yeah. 7 seasons in a row, and 12 out of 13, the past 13 seasons, Penn State opens up Big Ten play on the road.
Ouch.
They have not been kind to them since they joined the Big Ten. Nebraska, of course, has been playing tough crossovers. Maryland and Rutgers get thrown into one of the toughest divisions in football. So if you're a newcomer to the Big Ten, watch out. Unless you're USC and UCLA, then you get a full share of the conference.
Yeah, then you're good. You're good to go right away.
Then you got some bargaining to do there. In any case, Penn State,
massive game for both.
Yeah, very massive, big for the Big Ten West, and also I think I think Penn State's a little overrated, as they usually are.
I was going to ask you, is Penn State real this year? Because it seems like every year they're like, oh, watch out for Penn State. And then every year they suck.
Lost
really
Brent Pry. I feel like you have a ceiling with Sean Clifford.
I feel like they've reached the ceiling multiple times.
Yeah.
Keep trying to punch through and they just keep falling.
Purdue's got a lot to replace too, but they have Aiden O'Connell in there.
You love him.
I'm a big AOC guy. Just so mostly so I just can hashtag AOC because it confuses people. I like to be a troll.
Dumb.
But anyways, Penn State still favored by 3.5 in this game. That's what I'm going to be glued to tonight. I've been saying it all year. I like Purdue in the Big Ten West. I think Penn State's overrated, so naturally I'm going to pick Purdue here.
Mm-hmm.
You thinking along the same lines?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what Penn State or who Penn State even is, so I'm gonna go with Purdue in this one, just because I want it to be I want Purdue to be undefeated when Nebraska plays them, so they can lose. And not Nebraska, Purdue.
Yeah, and then your late night matchup tonight will be New Mexico State at Minnesota. Usually not all that interesting. New Mexico State's already lost the game in week 0. But what makes it interesting is former Minnesota coach Jerry Kill is returning to take on PJ Fleck.
Wow.
And you would think, okay, well, that's a cool reunion. No, Jerry Kill has been very vocal about basically not liking PJ Fleck and some of the way he runs the Minnesota program. So there's a bit of an animosity between that one. So if you're looking for a nice Another backyard brawl, perhaps. Stay up for that game on BTN tonight.
I'm just looking forward to the return of Mohamed Ibrahim.
That too, yeah.
That is the only thing I am looking forward to. And if he comes back and he's full strength, Minnesota wins. If not, Minnesota still wins. I'm sorry, Jerry Kill.
We'll see that big offensive line. They only have one returning starter. Happens to be one of the best centers in the nation. Also a sixth-year player. Much like Tanner Morgan, they've got several sixth-year players. Chris Ottman-Bell.
Goodness gracious.
So they've really done a good job of retaining all those guys. So that'll be a fun game tonight. We won't pick these games. Just a reminder of some of the other games that will be out this Saturday to look forward to. The Chick-fil-A kickoff. Oregon at Georgia. Georgia favored by 17 in that one. Cincinnati at Arkansas. That's a top 25 matchup. Also happens to be Cincinnati's only matchup versus a preseason ranked opponent. So I know Cincinnati lost a lot, but if they can upend Arkansas, look out for Cincinnati to make another run this year. Utah at Florida. Speaking of Urban Meyer, that's basically the Urban Meyer Bowl. Yeah. And then, of course, Notre Dame at Ohio State. Ohio State favored by 17.5 points. And then it's just a great day. You know, this is why it's my favorite week of college football, maybe other than rivalry weekend. Sunday, you've got a game, Florida State at LSU. And then Monday, you even have Clemson at Georgia Tech. Clemson won last season 14-8. So it could be closer than maybe what you think. At the same time, Georgia Tech got outscored in their final two games 100-0 last year.
Kind of painful.
It was Notre Dame and Georgia, so give them credit there, but 100-0
slightly painful
is
there
rough.
for Georgia Tech. No longer triple option. So.
Yeah, so not as fun to watch.
No.
Bring back Paul Johnson. What do you think is the highest ticket across the nation? I've got the top 4 highest tickets.
The highest ticket across the
highest ticket prices is get in price.
It has to be
market.
Ohio State Notre Dame.
It is Ohio State Notre Dame. Want to take a guess?
No.
$269.
I was going to say like 150, so I was going to be way off.
The second highest ticket in the nation will surprise you. I could
The
give
second
you
highest ticket in the
give you
nation will
20
surprise
guesses, you wouldn't get it.
Utah, Florida.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Who else plays? Is it the Georgia Tech game?
No.
No.
Like I said, you get 20 guesses. $187 to get into the Appalachian State game against North Carolina.
Wow.
It's a big one regionally.
Speaking of Appalachian State, 15 years ago today.
That's right.
They upset Michigan.
What a moment it was.
In
One of the
Big
best
House.
moments in college football history, for sure.
Love it.
The third highest price ticket to get in, the get-in price, Florida State and LSU at $144. That outdoes Georgia and Oregon, which is $130, maybe because that one's played in Atlanta and not on campus.
I'd go to that one.
How about you do that? $130?
I would go to that one, yeah.
Yeah, that's not too bad a price. How about this one? Would you go to Maryland and Buffalo?
How much is it?
$2.
Yes, 100%.
Yes.
100%. At Maryland at Buffalo?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, it might be the other way around.
Either way, doesn't matter. Maryland has a beautiful campus, by the way. I've been there.
It's just sad that there's some of the ticket prices get this low. Troy and Old Miss. That one will cost you
a lot of offense.
$6.
Oh, 100%.
There you go. How about this one?
Lane
UL
Kiffin.
Monroe in Texas. Texas. That's got to be a tough price to get in.
$12.
Right? $4. You can watch Texas football this weekend.
I'd watch it just so I could throw horns down the entire time.
I wonder what before we let you go and get the happy hour going. Have you seen the latest prices for the secondary market for Nebraska this week?
No, I have not. I don't know if I
look
want
it
to. Why are you going to do this?
Well, it was like $25 earlier in the week, which is relatively, that's pretty good. I thought, anyways.
Yeah.
Again, I got into Ohio State last year. I tell you this all the time, but it's just so fascinating to me. I got into Ohio State last year for $10 by the time the game kicked off. So that was kind of interesting. I'm having trouble with my Ticketmaster app. Better go to StubHub.
Come on.
Going to StubHub.
Figure it out.
We've got to know. I've noticed too, though. Usually, Ticketmaster does a little better than StubHub, in my opinion.
3, 2.
We don't have time. We're running out of time here.
Look at Nick just sitting over there. He really wants to get
There we
in.
go. StubHub, $16.
Oh, it's
not too bad.
Not terrible.
Go to the game this weekend.
I don't think I will.
You don't think you will?
No.
Why not?
Because I got my son's birthday party.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Kenji turned 1 yesterday.
How dare
2 days
you?
ago. 2 days
How
ago.
dare you put your son over Husker football?
Yep, how dare I?
Yeah, you scheduled this for a Saturday in the fall?
I knew exactly what I was doing.
Against North Dakota, yeah.
Yep. Sorry, I'm doing we got his birthday party, and then I'm going to volleyball afterwards.
That's fair enough. Are you going to watch the football game?
Yeah, I'm going to watch the football game.
It'll be on.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
Absolutely.
Have some cake, have some food.
There you go.
So I don't know where I'm going to get the food from. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, you still got a few days.
Yeah, make some food. Whatever.
All right, that'll do it for the Ticket Water Cooler. We have the Happy Hour coming up next. Stay tuned for an excellent lineup all day long, and we will talk to you here on the Ticket Water Cooler tomorrow.
People First is more than a nice